So welcome everyone. Good to have you. So welcome everyone listening to this online. Now, today you might have noticed during the meditation it might have been very difficult to be still, to sit still. Maybe there's been lots of fidgeting, lots of need to move the body. And you might have also observed that over time, the longer we sit, the more calm the body becomes, also the more calm the mind becomes. That's why in general I recommend, if you start practicing meditation, to give it about 30 minutes per session, to practice at a 30-minute length. There are these kind of things like micro meditations. They're very good, meaning like when you're in a busy city life, you're sitting in the train or wherever, and you do like a 2-minute meditation, bringing your attention to the breath, or allowing your thoughts to just float by, to pass by, without investing in them. That is very, very good. If you can do that, you should be doing that. Also, the practice throughout the day is very, very important. It supports our seated practice. Now when it comes to the so-called like the formal seated kind of meditation practice where you're actually sitting down every day and you're really working on improving your meditation, you try to go deeper and so forth, there are a few kind of tips that I'd like to share with you today. So one of the tips, of course, is, as I just mentioned, you want to keep your practice alive throughout the day. So after you've just ended your morning session, for example, if you do such a thing as a morning session, if you sit down in the morning, you do your meditation, to keep the meditation alive for as long as possible. You want to drag it into the day, meaning that it's not, it will not help you to go deeper in your meditation if you do your session and afterwards you feel kind of like, okay, I did my job today, I meditated for 30 minutes, so now it's time for my usual kind of business. I just do whatever and forget my meditation because I did it already. I did my meditation today. So what about now? Are you not doing it anymore now? Doesn't it have any impact on you right now? That's important. So it should be carried over into talking with other people, into walking around. You go shopping, you do all these kind of things. These kind of in between the sessions, these times in between the sessions where you go mindfully shopping, you go mindfully relating to other people, you go mindfully doing your work and all that, these are very vital for the practice. And some people mistakenly believe that it is enough to do just that. And there's some people, they say, I'm not doing my formal sessions, but I did some mindful shopping just now, and they feel this is kind of enough. It'll do the trick, but it won't. It won't do the trick. It's good. It's great. Better one mindful breath a day than no mindful breath a day. But if you really want to get somewhere with your meditation practice and really kind of experience the richness of it and the power that it actually has, that is described in so many magazines and scientific studies that we all like to read. If you really want to access that power, there has to be a very consistent effort throughout each day. Starting with the morning session, then carrying over into your day, doing these kind of little micro meditations, then ending with the evening sessions before we go to sleep. And then ideally carrying over our mindfulness into sleep and dream, if possible. That is quite difficult, but possible. All right. And it's all, of course, dependent on how mindful are you during the day. And that all depends on knowing the benefits of practicing meditation. If you know the benefits, you feel motivated to do it. We all contemplate the benefits of something before we buy it. And you see, that would be good for my life, so I buy it. or that would be good to do, so you do it. It makes me more healthy, it makes me more happy, gives me some entertainment, and then we do it. We are all contemplating the benefits of our actions before we do something. And the same is true for meditation. It helps you do your meditation session if you're studying it. So that's the next kind of tip. Study about meditation, meaning read good books that are in the lineage of your practice. You don't want to mix up things too much. It doesn't help much with practice. The more we are mixing up religions and techniques and different teachers and different kind of things, the more confusion there is. I agree, nowadays it's information age, so information is really easy to get. You just Google it. The problem with that is it's an overkill of information. People have too much information, and so they become information collectors, but there is hardly any practice. It is not an information that you have to kind of earn over a very long period of doing something consistently. You just Google it. And you know how it is like to be a meditation master, someone writing about how it's like to be a meditation master. And you just Google it, and then you think you know. But that's of course not enough. So if you really want to know meditation, you have to do it, not study so much about it. But studying is also important because it kind of gives you inspiration. If you listen to teachers, if you read books and so forth, it inspires you to do the practice. It keeps it kind of alive. So I recommend to study as well. Now, also what is very important is, and what is probably the most important one, is the people you surround yourself with. Most of the time, if you want to get anywhere in life, let's say you want to become a successful golfer, then it would be very advisable to go to these people who are successful golfers and stay with them, hang out with them. And slowly, slowly you will become like them. We usually become like those people that we spend time with. So that's really important. Same with meditation. You hang out with lots of martial artists, chances are that sooner or later you start picking up martial art, you start liking it, you start getting good at it, you start behaving like them, you start talking like them, you start eating like them. Yeah, because you hang out with them. And it's the same with meditation. If you want to go far and deep into your meditation practice, then it would be very good to at least regularly meet with people who do it, and who do it well, and allow them to have an impact on your own practice. That's why it's important to visit a teacher or other friends who are practicing the same thing that you practice. So to visit groups and so forth. Yeah, it helps heaps. So probably the most important facet of the path is the wholesome friends. It is people who are also working on the same thing. If you're just only by yourself and you're in a city surrounded by people who say that meditation is bollocks, you will sooner or later just quit meditation because it's just too much counterweight. It's too much pushing against what you do. So it doesn't really work out for long. Unless you have some sort of contact and you kind of try to maintain it, but it will be difficult if you do not have friends that are sharing the path with you together. Then another tip is consistency. That's where also for many people, they're kind of on and off with consistency. The practice is not done the same way every day. And consistency, as with everything in life, if you're consistently doing something every day, day in, day out, it turns into a habit, and a habit eventually turns into a character. It turns into who you are eventually. It's like it merges with you, it merges with your personality. And of course that's very nice if that happens with meditation practice. It makes you more kind, more happy, more joyful. So of course this is something desirable to kind of merge into your personality. But then it requires this consistency. And this is where many beginners have great trouble with, this consistency. Sometimes I tell people, Do you feel your body right now? I ask you this question right now actually. Do you feel your body? Do you hear the sounds around you? And can you let go of thinking right now? Just being here, just sitting here. Good. Now 2 minutes later, you have forgotten it. Probably a few seconds later. For most beginners it's like this. We quickly forget that we were just mindful. And we go back into thinking, oh, that was great. That was really comfortable. I should do this more often. And then we have to have this consistency of constantly bringing ourselves back. It's not just when you talk with your teacher or when you are in this kind of environment, you come to the class or something like that, and then you're kind of making an effort to be mindful. But that should really be coming in through your entire day. Like, make effort. And the effort in meditation practice is an effort that always leads to being effortless. So it's a different kind of effort than worldly effort. Spiritual effort leads you to being effortlessly here. Awake, clear, sharp-minded. Worldly effort leads to more effort. So meaning whatever business you undertake in the world, it leads to more business. Whatever you do, it leads to more doing. Whatever you need, it leads to more needing. It leads to more needing. It's never ending. Every time you change your posture, it leads to more changing posture. Every time you eat, it leads to more digestion, more need to eat. It's never ending. There's nothing wrong with it, but we cannot find lasting satisfaction or peace, true peace in that. All we can find is just change after change after change after change after change. That's all we can find there. So if you're really looking for something more substantial, more lasting, then we have to make a certain effort to get out of this wheel of making effort into effortlessness. So in other words, you have to do some work to liberate yourself from this endless cycle of doing. I need to do what to do next. What did I do yesterday? What should I do tomorrow? Constantly the mind goes about doing what to do. Maybe you didn't do enough. You should do more. And give yourself a break from that. But you wouldn't do this because the habits are too strong. The mental habits, they will keep you trapped in your old past self. And they will keep returning it around and around and around. So all we do is, how do you call that when a cow chews their food again? The digested food? Regurgitation. Regurgitation, is it? Pardon?
Chewing the cud.
Chewing the cud. Chewing the cud, yeah. That's what we do. Yeah. You're constantly chewing our past. We're chewing it again. We are kind of vomiting up again in our mind, and then we're chewing around on it again. Either what just happened or what happened years ago, traumas and so forth. We're constantly reminding ourselves of it, and then we hover around it, and we give it strength. Wherever you're putting your attention, you're giving strength to it. You're giving power to it. Attention is a very powerful feature of the mind. Wherever it goes, that's what you are nourishing. So we need to learn to be careful about where our attention goes, of course. Yeah. And so bringing our attention back into the present and staying anchored in the present means you're not reliving what you did before. Again and again and again. So you're not suffering your past anymore, and you're not creating more of your past in the present. Because you're mindful. You're dropping your regular thought patterns. You drop your regular drama. Drop it, because otherwise it keeps just repeating. It doesn't matter how much you think about it, how much you talk with psychologists about it. It just repeats. You're giving more power. So ideally, Whether you're talking with a psychologist or with a meditation teacher or you read books about it, it leads to the end of the problem. Not through a constant regurgitation of that problem again and again and again, and me and my problems. It reaffirms the problematic identity. It doesn't release it. It doesn't let go of it. It adds. And of course, the suffering mind, the sufferer, he loves attention. He wants to be listened to. Listen to my problems. That's what happened. And then the person opposite says, yes, I understand. That's what the sufferer wants. It wants to be seen and understood, but it wants to keep going. It wants to stay alive. It wants to keep telling its story again and again. And the funny thing is, it has this hidden hope that by keeping my story alive just long enough, it'll someday just stop. But it will not stop like that. It stops only if you stop giving it attention. And then it slowly fades. And it requires this constant effort to come back. You have to stop creating your past again and again. And that requires a huge amount of mindfulness and inner strength. And that's why we are in the beginning a bit like walking against a storm, because old habits are just so overpowering, so strong. And they will be so logical, and they reel you in again and again. They function like a bait. The Buddha actually also calls it a bait. Our thoughts and our old habits, they keep reeling you in here. Look at this. You have to look at this one. It's important. It's all important. Whatever happens in your mind, it needs to be seen. It's all important stuff, even though it's total nonsense very often. We all know our minds, right? Sometimes it's just going through random scenarios. What will I tell my friend when I come back home? So I did some meditation, and then he will say, how was it? And I will say, it was pretty good. And then you might even imagine yourself like hovering in front of your friend or something like this, and he'll be like, whoa, you've learned to float? And I'll be like, yeah, meditation is really great. And then suddenly you snap out of it and you're like, oh my God, what was that? Just thinking random stuff. You might think stuff about other people, imagine other people, how they are. Look at this guy, what is he wearing? And how does he move? Weird, I have a weird vibes are coming off this guy. And then you start going into stories and all that. This is how you create your own little unhappiness. And you don't even know it, it just happens. And we have to snap out of it again and again and again, and that takes effort. So effort is the next kind of tip, isn't it? Making effort, making the right effort. Right effort is always an effort of release. The effort of renunciation, as it's called. Let go. The effort of letting go. Because we're so used to picking things up and carrying them around with us that it's an effort to let them go. And we immediately pick them up again. Once we let them drop, we pick it right up again and say, oh, that was nice, I just dropped it. But you're just holding it again. You're holding it again. So we need to keep dropping it more and more. And then here is what's important. You have to not grab it for long enough to actually taste how nice it is not grabbing anything. Not grasping anything, not trying anything. It has to penetrate through this thick layer of thought and habits. That sense of, wow, what a relief. I don't need to be anyone right now. I don't need to become anyone right now. There's no need. Wow. It has to sink in. I often compare that with a fire that is about to cook a pot of water. The fire has to burn for some time to cook the water. Say you have some cold water, just fresh out of a spring. and you want to cook it, you first have to light the fire. Here you're sitting down, you're doing the meditation, and you come into presence for the first moment. You stay in it for 1, 2, 3 without thought. The next thought comes up. Your fire is off. You have to stay without thought, fully here, fully present, clear-minded, not dull-minded. Long enough so the water can start boiling. That takes time. And in the beginning it'll be mostly like the fire is off, you turn it on. It's off again, you turn it on, it's off again, you turn it off again. Like that. And then it'll be like, oh, meditation class, you turn on the fire, you turn it on, you leave the class, it's off. And it'll be off until next week. And then it maybe comes on like short moments, like, wow, I'm here. No thought. Yeah, but, says the mind, and it comes back online. But how does it work? You can't just be without thought all the time, says the mind. Another thought. It wants to gain authority in your mind again. It wants to get your attention again. Look at me, I'm important. What about you being without thoughts? How does that work out? I can't imagine that working out. Well, of course you can't, because you're just a thought. It will not work out. Thoughts will not figure it out. That's the thing with meditation. You cannot think your way into meditation. Impossible. You have to gradually learn, and focuses on gradually, which is the next tip. Gradually learn. Give yourself time. Don't push it. You cannot push it. Meditation grows due to its causes. If the causes all come together, your meditation goes deeper. And that means your happiness grows, your joy grows. You're not heavy anymore, not serious anymore. You're more lighthearted, because they're the right causes. So knowing that, of course, then we create the right causes, and that's again where the effort comes in. Creating the right causes for release, to let go. Meaning, you have to uncomplicate your life. Make it simple. Not unhappy. Simple doesn't mean you have to let go of all the stuff that you like doing. But simplify things. Make it more simple. Is all the complication that we are experiencing right now really necessary? Or can I maybe cut out a few things to give more space for meditation? A popular one, and that I mention it every time, again and again, because I see it every day so many times, is it's devices. Just people being glued to their screen day in and day out. Even walking around with their screen all the time. Just texting. But constantly talking to someone that's not there. Well, why? Is that really necessary? If you would stop to text, would you fall down dead? If you would not take a picture of that food, would you be still able to eat it and enjoy it? Like that. Or that is a number one thing nowadays. This kind of addiction to technology, to constantly being connected to a machine. That's all that it is, isn't it? You're not connected to other people, you're connected to a machine. The machines are taking over. This is a warning. Now that's too extreme, of course, yes, but it is in a way like that. We are kind of slaves of technology. What would we do if there wasn't any internet entertainment? We would have to put up with our relationships. We would have to talk all of a sudden in a restaurant. We would have to actually eat our food. But maybe there are still some ways out. You could read a book while you eat, for example. You could read the newspaper while eating. That was what happened before, right? People always seeking some way out of themselves. We just can't be with ourselves. So difficult. So that's why we need to introduce a gradual growth of wakefulness. I love the phrase of Eckhart Tolle. He said one time, what is it? Oh, most people are just mindful enough so they're not bumping into furniture. It's kind of true. It's a shocking statement, but it's pretty much true. Most of the time we just have enough mindfulness so we're not running into stuff. We're just not hitting other people, or we're just able to enter the door, leave the door again, go out there. But our thoughts are constantly somewhere else. Give it time, but consistency. Just keep working on it. More and more wakefulness. Introduce it into your life. Be fully here as you walk. Make it a point to just walk. Intend it. That's the next step. Intention. Also very important. You want to intend to practice and cultivate the power of intention. Today by 7 p.m. I want to sit down quietly for half an hour at least. Make it an intent. Make it firm. There's nothing that can make you go left or right. Your intention is fully set. You're not swaying on your path. You're firm because you know this is good for me. The next tip then, of course, making time. You make time for your meditation. Why would you make time for it? Because you know it's good for you. Like you're making time for dinner, or time for breakfast, or time for your friends, or time for a shower. Because you know it's good for something, right? You don't say, I didn't do my breakfast today, I was too busy. Maybe some people do that, but it's not healthy. Oh, you can only do that a certain amount of time before you get ill. And with meditation, it's the same thing. It's the most important thing, just spending time with yourself, getting to know yourself, making friends with yourself, like that. It takes time. And so we need to make that time, and we would only make it if we see the value in it. And that only comes through studying and practicing, through consistency. The more you do it, the more all these points start to come together and make sense. Motivation, intention, all that. Now it starts to make sense. Now I see how it all comes together. You'll see later on. Just keep practicing regularly and contemplate just how beautiful it is. Another thing is play with it. Another tip, play the path. That's how my teacher always says it, play the path. Don't take it so seriously. It's the most serious thing, yes, but we don't have to take it seriously in the sense of suffering it. Oh, it's so heavy. Me and my meditation is so difficult. I'm a Buddhist. I'm very seriously a Buddhist, and I can't be offended by that. What is that? A Buddhist joke? Who told that? Like I'm immediately taking offense because I'm a very authentic Buddhist, and I'm totally devoted to my lineage and my teacher. Don't you dare making jokes about my teacher. Now that's anything but being a Buddhist. This is very uptight and tense. And it doesn't follow the Buddha at all. The Buddha said to let go, not hold on to being a Buddhist, running around being a Buddhist. The Buddha didn't do it. I'm a Buddhist, everyone. He wasn't anyone in that's the point. He was once asked, after reaching enlightenment, he was asked by a few yogis that were sitting around on the street, and they were noticing that he had some powers, that he was obviously spiritually very developed. And so they approached him and asked him, what are you? Are you a god? And the Buddha said, no. Are you a saint? No. What are you? And he said, I'm the Buddha. And what does it mean, the Buddha? The one who is awake. I'm awake. I'm just awake. Not being anything in particular, just awake. Just present. Fully mindful. Fully comprehending this moment as it is. Not suffering anything. It's not about becoming a someone. That's another kind of tip I want to just throw in. Don't try to be a meditator or be anything in particular. Just do the work. I like that there's a training center at Soi Tây, at like one of the Muay Thai centers. There's so many. And one of them is, I think, Top Team. They said like, no egos, just dedication, or something like that. They have like their slogan, is the no egos, just dedication. Yeah, just no self. No need for any self around your thing. I'm a member of Top Team. I'm a member of Tiger Muay Thai. I'm this, I'm that. No, just do your work. Become a good fighter. And put in the causes like that. Why need to be like someone? Why need to grasp it as I define myself by my skills? No. Just do it. Just do it well. No ego needed there. Just good causes. Same with meditation. We're not doing it to become a someone specifically powerful or whatever. No. Just let go. Just keep letting go. And the final tip, and one of the major ones also, contemplate death. Think about death a lot. Not thinking about it like, yep, I might die some distant day in the future, far, far, far away. Actually, death has nothing to do with me. It's other people that die, right? Something like that. I won't die, at least not in the near future. We don't know. This room is full of people right now. Who will go first? Guess. You want to take a guess? Who will it be? We can't, right? Impossible to guess. We don't know it. But it still feels like it's not going to be me, though. But who around me will go first? Isn't it like that? We're looking kind of around like, who might it be? Oh, you need to include yourself. Might I be the one? Very likely. Chances are super high. Contemplate how fragile your little body is, how much of a balance it needs to just run well and healthy, how thin some of the blood vessels, the veins, the nerves are in your body. Just contemplate just how fragile that little thing is. It's just a tiny little virus entering it, and that's it. I'm not only talking about death, also serious illness and so forth. It's all around. We're moving on these streets every day. And we don't know when it's our time. Why would I say contemplate that? To make you sad? No. You all had relationships or currently have relationships. If you contemplate the death of your spouse, she leaves the house, she goes shopping somewhere, and you think maybe she doesn't come back. And you then say goodbye. What kind of quality does your goodbye suddenly have? Different, right? It's different. We value it. All of a sudden, you really value what you have. Because you know it does not last. There's no time to waste. There's no time to waste for mental repetition of crap. The mental crap roll. It's not so much time. So if we know that, and this is particularly a difficult one for young people, such as myself, the older we get usually, the more alert we become to the fact that soon, I don't have much time left. And so they usually become a bit more irritated about birthdays. They don't want them to celebrate their birthdays anymore so much. This is like more acute It's like, wow, I've half time already. There's not much future left. There's not much future left. And that's the problem, isn't it? Because we're living for future all the time. So why do I say, remind yourself of dying every day, thoroughly, not just like fleetingly, the fridge sticker or something. Hey, I might die today. It's a great quote. It's profound. But you don't want to go into it. You don't really want to go into it. And that's what we need to do. Really go into it. Really feel. So I'll leave you with one little homework today. Yesterday I've given it to some people at the retreat as well. So I will share it with you today again. Today make one call, okay? You can call one person. But first imagine that tomorrow you will die. Or in 2 days if you want, or 3 days. It's kind of your last thing. And you have one phone call to make today. So who would it be, first of all, that you would call? And what would you tell them? But don't let it be a would. Do it. Actually do it. Connect to that one person that you would call if you knew you were dying tomorrow, and tell them what you would tell them. Do it. Try it out. And then see for yourself that thinking about death has nothing to do with depression and everything to do with quality in life. In fact, you cannot enjoy life if you haven't confronted the fact that you will die very soon. Otherwise, we're kind of just pretending to enjoy life. In the back of our minds, it's like, none of that stuff is going to last. We know it. Deep down, we know it. That's why we have such a hard time to really enjoying ourselves. To really be at ease within ourselves, free from tension and stress and worries. Because something inside of ourselves knows that none of the stuff we do and have is really something we own or we can take. And in my opinion, this is one of the most powerful factors of actually staying on the spiritual path. And this is my personal number one factor. Why am I sitting here? Why am I doing what I do? Because I was born with a disorder that makes it very, very clear for me that I could die any moment. And that's, some people say, why are you doing this? Why are you a meditation teacher? Or why did you study at the monastery or something like this? That's the reason. It's also the reason why I failed at school. I have no time to play around with stuff that doesn't last. I have no interest in it, really. I do play around with stuff that doesn't last, though. I like watching movies, I like going out, eating some nice stuff and so forth. I do enjoy my life, but I really want to enjoy my life. And I want to see how much more joy there is. And the more I let go, I found, the more there is. The more I just drop. The more I come into this moment, into life, which is now. The less fear there is also. The more thoughts, the more fear. Less thoughts, less fear. More life, less death. So come into life. Now is your time. It will not last very long. It's your opportunity, your chance to make a huge difference for yourselves and everyone around you that you love, that you don't know, or that you hate. Okay? All right, so that's enough for today. Are there any questions?